So, Tom, as we heard today, you're a really important person in Peep's life. Can you maybe explain a little bit more? How do you know him? How do you remember him from the very beginning?
Well, that's the long story, so that's why he wrote the book. I was late in my career at Southwestern. I'd already had about 2,500 students, over the course of the years, and then miracle happens that I was encouraged to come and teach at the Estonian Business School. But I really didn't plan on that. I'd only thought, hey, wouldn't it be great to have a couple of the Estonian kids be able to have, the experience that my American kids had. And one thing leads to another, and I was able to get a couple of visas, J1 work visas, and I came to Estonia in 1990. Glasnost and Perestroika was just happening, and it was still kind of a hope that any of the things that the Estonian Business School was teaching would ever be legal. But Madis had foresight and enough, courage to take on a free enterprise MBA, in the Soviet Republic. It was unheard of. But I had two things when I came on that freighter from Finland. I had two J1 work visas that were kind of miracles, and I had about 100 pounds of books for the Estonian Business School library. And it was so fun because I got to go through Soviet customs with more contraband than anybody in the history of I had books on, from Greek philosophers to the fundamentals of democracy through,
Was there a censorship on them?
Oh, yeah. My girlfriend at the time was smuggling Bibles one at a time, in her pretty dresses through the Czech Republic. And I walked in, I've got, biographies of Churchill and Washington and Lincoln and the Oxford History of American Peoples and you name it, Bibles and everything else. And the Soviet border guards opened up my suitcase and it looked like heroin, and their eyes, because they could have sold those, right? If they had been able to take them, they could have bought a house, So to watch them just, wow, okay, you can go in. That's my little joy, I snuck in. And and I just met a student at the Estonian Business School who's going to take me next week, and I'm going to look for those books because they're probably some of the most read literature in the history of Estonia. So anyway, I know I'm being silly, but I was silly then and I'm still silly now. I was no great businessman. I'm just a 36-year-old door-to-door salesman. Why do they want me to lecture at the business school? I've got, but as it turned out, it worked out all right for Peep too, Now, Andres Trink, who I spoke to today, he's in Berlin right now. He's retired, but Andres had a lot to do with finance for this country. He was the head of, insurance and banking and finance for a number of years. And if anybody had something to do with bringing the flat tax and the euro, he was the head of the Euro Commission, That's my other fella, And he's very important to the history of Estonia. I'm not. I just get to watch it happen.
But I've heard you're also a godfather of Peep's son, daughter?
Yeah, that's his actual godfather. We just took a picture. I'm the guy in the U.S. that gets to see Robert every once in a while. And I just saw Maria and didn't even recognize her. She's grown up. I still look at all their pictures from 10 years ago when they were kids. So I'm overwhelmed. This is so fun for me. And I'm so proud of the Estonian people. Can you imagine how cool this is for me to watch? Because you guys, and it happened years ago. Remember, because Nokia was making phones here back in the day, and you guys were so on it and really tech. And since you didn't have mainframe computer systems that were legacy systems, you guys leapfrogged ahead. And so I've been admiring what you've been doing in tech and everything else for decades. And then Pipe Drive happens. Holy, and that's funny, man. So I know.
Don't forget Bolt.
Yeah, and having both those kids come over and sell books after they'd worked with Peep for a long time is sad to lose almost, of course. But that's another miracle, right? So all of these things, and Peep's house now today by the seaside is adjacent to the National Forest. where Modest had the business school meeting. That's where we met. So, and it was all Soviet. So at the time, and the only thing we worried about, like we couldn't take a walk because, you know, the Soviet military base is over there and we might get, you know, in trouble. So very, very aware that 20 minutes away the tanks are there, you know. And in the very first night I was in Estonia, I was walking around with Peep. The very first night I met him, and you guys raised the national flag over Parliament, you know. It was the big double finger, you know. And I got to watch it being raised over Parliament for the first time. So yeah, I have a lot of joy to see what you guys have done. It's incredible what the country's pulled off. So yeah, I'm very proud to even observe it, yeah.
So I hope it's a pleasure for you to be back here, and it's a pleasure for us to have you here with us today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.